Third time's a charm. Let's go. Welcome to the Hustle Wing podcast. Today we are joined by Michael Cavanaugh, the founder and chairman of Regiment. He's going to talk to us about his company and we're going to get to know him a little bit. So thank you so much for taking your time out today to chat to us, Michael. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you, Izzy. And thanks to Hustle Wing for having me on today.
Awesome, awesome. So what is Regiment?
Great question. Regiment, what we like to say is, there's a buzzword going around called Web 3.0.
Yeah.
We like to say Regiment is a financial ecosystem that focuses on money 3.0. So
Ooh.
we've built a company that addresses the regulatory framework of registered broker dealers here in the United States,
Mm-hmm.
that gives people access to investments and tools that are all kind of new to the investment space.
Yeah.
So a digital ecosystem set up for alternative investments in the Money 3.0 movement.
Okay, cool, cool. So why did you start Regiment? What's your story?
Yeah, I started it on a fairly peculiar day. It was the day I'm in Illinois in the United States, and
Okay.
the day the Illinois governor announced the lockdown from the COVID-19 pandemic
Yeah.
is when we launched Regiment.
Oh, wow.
We thought there would be a lot of problems caused by the lockdown in
Mm.
businesses, and that the solutions that would come out of the COVID era would be solutions that are new to industries. And typically, when there are new solutions in new industries, the larger incumbent financial services companies don't really play in those spaces. So we
Yeah.
saw a huge opportunity to make relationships and then get traction in the financial services space coming out of the COVID pandemic.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
how we got our start. We saw a big problem, we saw a lot of solutions, and an opportunity to make the relationships with the people that are solving those problems.
Yeah. All right, cool. I like that. It's a nice story. I'm glad that you survived the COVID because I feel like a lot of people started things then but just haven't had the opportunity or, the skill set or whatever to make it this far. So for the fact that you're still up and running is,
Yeah.
congrats to you.
Well, I appreciate that. And by no means has it been easy.
Yeah.
Any startup, I always say startups are like war without bullets. Um, you just are continually fighting the good fight and grinding away. And, hopefully you hit a couple of big ones and, you look back and you forget about the hard times. But there's been a lot of grinding, a lot
Yeah.
of brain damage, so to speak. But we've got a really strong, gritty team. So
Yeah.
I'm just lucky and grateful to be surrounded by them.
Amazing, amazing. Hopefully not a lot of PTSD because
It's funny you mentioned that. We use that term a lot. One trait in a startup um, that goes unrecognized sometimes is um, the founding team's ability to tear out the rear view mirror, so to speak. Like what happened yesterday was yesterday. Forget about it. Take the lessons that you learned and move on, and get rid of the PTSD. And it's
yeah.
challenging, but it's definitely a trait that we see in startups, and we think that we have that we're able to rip out the rear view mirror.
Yeah. It's so cool. In my language there's a saying that you can't get left by the train. So, you can reflect, but if the train's moving, you got to get on it and you got to go
Get
with
on the
it.
train.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's cool. I'm glad that you have that. So, what is the long-term goal for regiments? What's the big vision?
Yeah, we kind of modeled Regiment after another firm similar,
Okay.
but different, if that makes any sense, that started in the US in the early 80s called Montgomery Securities, which, they basically made relationships with Silicon Valley startups.
Yeah.
We're not networking with Silicon Valley startups,
Okay.
but it's a new industry, new industries that we're
Mhm.
networking into and making the relationships in. So our goal long term is to establish ourselves as um, a boutique investment bank for the industries that are being born out of the solutions for the problems post COVID.
Yeah.
Whether we get acquired or whether we grow organically, we have a decade long approach, decades plus, um, to continue to grow the firm with
Yeah.
the culture that we started with from the start.
Yeah. Cool. I mean, you definitely have the longevity behind you because you are like pioneering, the new movement into Web 3.0. So I definitely, I trust that you guys are going to be here for a while since you're one of the first people in that space. So that's always great.
Yeah. Hopefully we become settlers. They say that the only difference between a pioneer and a settler is a pioneer is the one with the arrows in their backs. So hopefully
Yeah.
we can pull the arrows out and settle in.
Good. I hope you do too. So what are some of the challenges that you guys are facing at Regiment at the moment?
Yeah. I mean, in addition to just being a startup, and
Mm-hmm.
all the challenges that startups face, a couple of interesting things in capital markets that we've noticed that are very extremely challenging.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Market cycles, and what I mean by market cycles, um, you know, over the course of time, the movement of money and the changes of fiscal and economic policies, they tend to be very slow.
Yeah.
Um, like a quick change in a market is 7 years, right? Where
Wow.
interest rates or um, you know stock market volatility, it tends to go in a direction and then it halts drastically and then resets and then it takes another 7 years to reset. You see those cycles, the economic cycles. One of our biggest challenges is the economic cycles post COVID have been just insanely fast and
Yeah.
volatile. The velocity is insane. So if you look at, from March of this year until now, or, maybe even a little the last 18 months, we saw the sharpest increase in interest rates in the
Yeah.
history of interest rates.
Yeah.
And that, the overall impact and implications of a cycle change like that are monstrous. If we
Mm.
were in a decade long interest rate free environment, and then for it to go as quickly as it did, those are massive challenges. You have
Mm.
to look where the money's going, how the money's moving,
Mm.
and position yourself. And it feels like that's happened about 4 or 5 times since
Yeah.
2020.
Yeah.
So catching the right market cycle, being positioned, and then how do you take advantage of it is probably the most significant challenge.
Yeah.
And then going along with that, we are a startup. Um, the capitalization of a highly regulated company,
Mm.
you need talent. And in order to pay for that talent, you need to have substantial capital. So we're always, you know, I don't know if bootstrapped is the right way to put it, but we're looking for the right capital partners to help us get this thing over the hump. But we have
Yeah.
definitely been grinding the last 3 years. So
Yeah.
the biggest challenges for us have been the changes in market cycles, like the
Mm-hmm.
velocity and how rapid they're changing,
Yeah.
and then just capital. Um, Always capital strapped is what it's felt like the last 3 years.
Yeah, yeah. Everyone's been tightening the belt, so I can only imagine how tough it must be for you guys in the whole financial market stuff. So yeah. All right. Well, thank you for sharing that. So, what sort of assistance would you need from our community of hustlers?
Yeah, you sometimes you don't know what you
Mm,
don't know.
yeah,
Probably the first step is me getting more educated on your community of hustlers, what they do, how they help companies like ours. If people have worked with regulated broker dealers,
yeah,
um, part of that would be on me to figure out what the hustlers are doing. But we always need help identifying where opportunities are,
yeah.
um, and research analytics,
Mm,
marketing. We have a chief marketing officer, but we're always open to ideas and what's working.
yeah,
Um, so the those are the main aspects of what we need and where we need help.
yeah.
We are always looking for good Series 7 registered reps. We have like an independent contractor model.
Okay.
So if any of the hustlers out there are deal makers that have their U.S. Series 7 registrations,
Mm,
I will entertain a conversation with anyone in that capacity anytime,
okay.
um, for sure.
Great, great. That's good to know. Then, yeah, I mean, our hustlers, do range throughout all the functions, and some of them are very eager to pitch, ideas to people that are willing to listen. So it's nice to know that you're, open to hearing from them. And yeah, I guess you can expect, a couple of pitches coming in soon.
Oh, I can't wait. Be great.
Awesome. Well, it's been amazing chatting to you, Michael, and getting to know Regiment. Thank you again for your time and for, breaking it down in layman's term for a little person like me. So I do appreciate that. And yeah, hopefully we'll connect again soon.
Thanks, Izzy, and thanks to Hustling for having me on today.
Awesome.